Morning, everybody. I'm going to call the meeting to order. It's 9 o'clock. Thank you all for being here. The first thing on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you please rise and join me.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So the first thing we have today on the agenda is a proclamation of the National Correctional Officer and Employee Appreciation Week. So that was first observed and proclaimed by Ronald Reagan in 1984. It's usually held during the first week of May, and it honors the work and sacrifices of the correctional officers and the personnel across the United States. It serves as a time to recognize the contributions of those who work in corrections, highlighting their dedication, professionalism, and often challenging roles in maintaining safety and order within the correctional facility. I'd like to have Commissioner Boyce please read the proclamation.
So this for National Correctional Officer and Employee Appreciation Week, which is May 4th through 10th, 2025. Whereas we recognize that on May 5th, 1984, President Ronald Reagan signed Proclamation 5187, creating National Correctional Officer and Employee Appreciation Week. President Reagan's proclamation designated the first week of May each year for this recognition and states that we recognize that the important work done by our correctional officers often does not receive the recognition from the public that it deserves. And it is appropriate that we honor the many contributions and accomplishments of these men and women who are a vital component of the field of corrections. And whereas this observance honors the work and sacrifices of correctional officers and personnel across the United States, it serves as a time to recognize the contributions of those who work in corrections, highlighting their dedication, professionalism, and often challenging roles in maintaining safety and order within correctional facilities. And whereas we recognize that correctional officers have the tough and often thankless assignment of ensuring the custody, safety, and well-being of over 1.8 million adults in custody in our nation's prisons, jails, and correctional facilities each year. Their position is essential to day-to-day operations of these institutions. Without them, it would be impossible to achieve the foremost institutional goals of security, rehabilitation, and public protection. And whereas we recognize that the duties of our correctional officers and employees have become increasingly complex and demanding, they are called upon to fill simultaneously custodial, supervisory, and counseling roles. The professionalism, dedication, and courage exhibited by these officers throughout the performance of these demanding and often conflicting roles deserves our utmost respect. And whereas we want to recognize our Douglas County correctional officers and employees in the Douglas County Jail for their unyielding daily commitment to their jobs in the face of a difficult and often dangerous work environment. And now therefore, we, the Douglas County Board of Commissioners, do hereby acknowledge National Correctional Officer and Employee Appreciation Week in Douglas County and call upon all citizens of Douglas County to join us in acknowledging and thanking the men and women who work in jails, prisons, and community corrections all across our great country and who serve as crucial pillars within our public safety system.
Thank you for reading that, and I know we forgot to put in that Reedsport has a municipal jail, but we will be recognizing them also today in the proclamation, so. Tammy?
Yep. All right, so let's see here. Whoops. All right, so yes, I was gonna give a nod to Reedsport because they do have a municipal jail. They are an anomaly, as I've been told, in our county, outside of our jail system here. So in our jail system here, the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, the Corrections Division, under the direction of Lieutenant Clayton Rubel. And they have 38 certified deputies. That includes Clayton and 2 civilian staff that work with them. Representing us here today, we have Lieutenant Rubel. If you could come on up, please, and Commissioner Kress will be presenting you with the proclamations. And then we also have Andrew Maldonado, Deputy Maldonado, Transport Deputy Anthony McIrvin, Corporal, Jessica Miller, who is our RSAT Deputy, and Amy Felker, who is a Corrections Clerk, along with our Douglas County Sheriff, John Hanlon, and Under Sheriff Brad Odell. So, an important function of the Douglas County Jail is to protect the public from dangerous people and keep the inmates safe. They provide rehabilitative opportunities such as RSAT, as well as job and life skill education. By incarcerating offenders, they serve consequences for their actions. Victims and the general public are protected. The facility's capacity is 257 beds. However, due to inmate classification, spacing, and staffing levels, the maximum number of inmates can be held at any given time can fluctuate. The jail averages 3,987 bookings in 2024 and conducted 652 AIC transports to other correctional facilities.
AIC, that's fancy talk for adults in custody.
Adults in custody, yes.
Thank you.
And while we take this picture, Kelly does, we also want to give a nod, as we said, to the Reedsport Police Department for their municipal jail under interim police chief Bill Kutzall and Corporal Brent Snyder. And they have 14 full-time positions and 5 volunteers who all take turns watching the jail and monitoring and doing a variety of things over there.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. All that for 5 seconds of.
Well, are you having them?
Yeah, so I'm gonna have the lieutenant come up and speak, and the sheriff, and whoever else would like to now. Sir?
So entertaining.
The first
Actually, I
one?
was gonna let the lieutenant speak, but I think the proclamation outlined it quite well. The jail operation, of course, is a extremely important component to public safety and law enforcement and peace and order in the community, and we can't thank our staff enough for that difficult job that they do, so,
Well, it's one of the statutory things you're required
it's
to
a
provide too as a
statutory.
sheriff.
right.
It's funny, there's certain things that, you know, you do that are very important that maybe aren't statutory, but the jail is one of those that you are required to.
It brings a high amount of liability with it, probably more so than out in patrol, as you know. So the work that they do is extremely important to us. Lieutenant?
All right, I'll make it short and sweet because we've got a jail to run and they don't sleep. So on behalf of the entire Corrections Division, I want to sincerely thank the Board of Commissioners for their proclamation and for recognizing the hard work and dedication of corrections deputies. Every day, our deputies serve with professionalism, strength, and commitment. They work behind the scenes in a very demanding environment, helping keep our facilities secure while treating everyone with care, with fairness and respect. Their role is not easy and it's often overlooked, but their work is vital to the safety and security of the community and the success of our justice system. I also want to thank Sheriff John Hanlon and Under Sheriff Brad Odell for their strong leadership and continued support of our team. We are proud to serve under their guidance, and this recognition means a great deal to all of us in corrections. Thank you again, Commissioners, for your continued support and for acknowledging the contributions of dedicated professionals. It truly makes a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. And each of us at different times through the years have been the liaison to the Sheriff's Department, so we've all had the opportunity to tour and visit in the jail and see all the incredible, difficult work that you all do. I don't think a lot of folks realize the challenge that some of the inmates have when they are brought into the jail, everything from healthcare challenges to mental health, to drug addiction, to just not really like being around other people, and all those challenges that they bring into the jail you have to deal with every day, and we certainly appreciate the difficulty of that and the work that you do.
Including hygiene. Thank you.
Yeah, should have some maybe at the top of the list. Other commissioners, have you got other things?
Said it will.
All right, well, thank you all very much. We'll let you go back after it before we get to our meeting. If you want, you're welcome to stay for the whole meeting if you'd like, but,
We had some.
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Hey, yesterday we had a guy who was a successful drug court graduate a few years ago, and he's become a productive member of society. The sheriff was there at the LIPSIC meeting yesterday, and this kid came and presented to us and talked to us about his transition from years of dependency and addiction and crime to where he is today. And one of the things that he highlighted in his journey was the time that he spent in the jail was critical to him being able to transition. He was, for the first time, able to be sober and clean for a period of time long enough to get his head healed, his brain healed, and to think straight. And it was you and your staff who advocated for him to get into the program. And it was a great story, but it spoke to the level of professionalism that you guys have and how you, contrary to a lot of people's beliefs, you're pulling for those folks in there. You want them to change their lives, and you want to help. And it was very important for the sheriff, myself, and the rest of the people in the room to understand the important role that you guys and the jail played in his road to recovery. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You guys want Kelsey to take that to your team?
Yeah, that would be great, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
There you go, take your seat.
Get one of those mailed over to Reese. All right, the next agenda item is the consent calendar. We'll have one item on there. It's just an agreement, so I will move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Motion second. Questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Commissioner Boyce?
Aye.
Commissioner Kress?
Aye.
Chair votes aye and the motion passes. Agenda item number 3 is citizens' questions and comments. Anybody online?
Nobody online.
I do.
Oh, come forward, please.
This is celebration day.
Great.
So for those,
Sing happy birthday?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
so for those that are watching and can't see, some of the audience members are holding up happy birthday Commissioner Kress. So it's my assumption that it must be Commissioner Kress's birthday today.
Yes.
Somebody
Chris,
found out.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
You got to 60 yet? You're probably still not quite 60 yet, right? I enjoy the pleasure of being the senior commissioner only because I was sworn in just a couple minutes before Commissioner Boyce. But I think in age, Commissioner Kress may be the senior commissioner.
Gotcha. Thank you all.
Any other questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, we'll move on with the agenda. Number 4 is a justice courts item, and I believe Commissioner Kress is gonna be taking care of this.
Yeah, this is a contract amendment, number to contract 30264 with Chavez Consulting, and it's increasing our software group fee. I would move to approve the contract amendment.
I'll second.
A motion, a second. Questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Commissioner Boyce?
Aye.
Commissioner Kress?
Aye.
Chair votes aye and the motion passes. Agenda item number 5 is a land department item, and I'll invite up Mark Wall with his land department hat on.
Morning, Commissioners. Mark Wall on behalf of the Land Department. Before you have a contract between Douglas County and Scott Timber Company for the 2025 Milltown Hill number 315 timber sale. They provided a performance bond in the amount of $95,000 and a deposit of $40,000, and the project should be completed by September 30th, 26. They have indicated to me they plan to operate the unit this summer.
Move to approve the contract.
I'll second.
Motion second. There was some question about this when we put it up for sale around where this particular property sits in the holdings of the county, and it is a natural resource. So therefore, the receipts or the revenue generated will remain a natural resource. There was a question about whether there was a resolution, a commitment of some kind that any revenue generated there would go into a special fund to build the dam. We weren't able to find that. However, if we did move forward and were able to find a way to build the Milltown Dam, the Natural Resource Department, of course, would be how the funding would flow through anyway. So leaving it there would be the right place. So I wanted to make sure we answered that question from last time. It kind of came in late, maybe even after the meeting. So I think we all got that organized and straight. So any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Commissioner Boyce?
Aye.
Commissioner Kress?
Aye.
Chair votes aye and the motion passes. Agenda item number 6 is a Parks Department item. Parks Director Wall.
Mark Wall, Parks Department, before you have an amendment to the County Opportunity Grant Program Agreement, COG 2306, extends the effective period from 4/30/25 to 10/31/25 for the Stanton Park Phase 1 project. This extension is required due to the weather delays we had this winter. I expect the project will be done sometime in June. They extended the contract out to cover closing out the grant agreement and paying final payments.
Move to approve the amendment.
And I'll second that.
Motion is second. I know there's probably some other comments, but thank you and thank the contractor. We did have some extreme weather.
We basically didn't do anything.
6 or
for
7
4
weeks ago. So I understand that there probably was an absolute good reason not to be out there trying to dig in the mud, so.
They moved over to the beach, working in the sand.
Over there in the sand where the water's not quite as problematic. Other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Commissioner Boyce?
Aye.
Commissioner Kress?
Aye.
Chair votes aye and the motion passes. Thank you. Agenda item number 7 is a Public Works item. I'll invite up our Public Works Director, Scott Adams. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Scott Adams, Public Works. Item number 7 is a change order to the contract 30002558 with Knife River Materials for the Main Street Canyonville Safe Routes to School project. This change order adds extra work on a force account basis to locate existing water lines that were either not located or mislocated. Increases the contract amount by $19,500 to a total of $3,184,059. As we work in these cities, many of their water lines and infrastructure is very aged, and so there can be lots of encumbrances. And so with that, we put force account, gives us a little bit of latitude on when we come up with those issue areas. We have some room to work within the bid items to account for that.
Move to approve the contract change order.
I'll second that.
So motion is second. I know this is probably in addition to what the city had to do. They had some infrastructure stuff they had to move also that was talked about a while back, and they had to come up with some additional funding also to make sure the project moved forward.
Correct. And our hopes are that as we get moved through the project, without jinxing it, knock on wood, that we can help try to save some money and not dip into this with some savings on future bid items. The contractor's been really good to work with, coming up with some ideas and proposals to try to work around that.
I just want to mention that I appreciate the contractor working. This could have been a much bigger change order. Their creativity made this work out pretty well for us. I'm glad that we're getting this going.
Well, this will dramatically benefit the community and specifically the children that are gonna be walking to school on these sidewalks. This area has rather deep ditches with a very narrow road shoulder right now, and it's quite dangerous. On top of all that, it will, dramatically change the look of coming into Canyonville, so it'll, improve the aesthetics as well as the actual safety of the children going to school, so it'll look nice. Other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call a question. Commissioner Boyce?
Aye.
Commissioner Kress?
Aye.
Chair votes aye and the motion passes. Agenda item number 8, also a Public Works item. Mr. Adams.
Again, Scott Adams, Public Works. Item number 8 is a contract between Douglas County and Western States Controls for miscellaneous engineering services on an on-call as needed basis for the Galesville Dam. This term expiration date of 4/14/2026. These folks provide our SCADA systems and telemetry engineering and upgrades and on-call systems analysis. SCADA is the I had to look this up again because I always forget, a supervisory control data acquisition network. But basically it runs and operates the dam.
Move to approve the contract.
I'll second.
We have a motion, a second, questions or comments? I guess I would comment during the flood event, having good control of the dam was crucial, so thank them for the work they do
I will.
and the rest of your team.
Definitely. We had some upgrades last year that we were actually manually operating that dam for some time and were able to get those projects completed prior to that storm, and that led to helping that situation out by being able to do it remotely.
In real time.
Correct.
Any other questions or comments? Yeah.
About that. You know, we went through this, I don't know, 100-year, 50-year flood event. And we as county staff and commissioners had our hands in a whole bunch of different issues. From every road that we have jurisdiction over having some sort of malfunction, to people's houses being flooded, to whatever. One of the things that I really didn't anticipate and probably should have was that dam. And right in the middle of dealing with all this, all of a sudden, we're made aware that the dam is open as much as it can be, letting as much water out as is possible, and is filling up faster than we can deal with it. And so just the comment I'm trying to make is every single summer we have public out there who frustrate, and we do, over the fact that Galesville's not full. And the reason that it isn't always full, and we do our best to try to get the timing right, is for exactly what we just dealt with. If we had had it over full when that event came through unexpectedly, it would have reached capacity and spilled over, which is not ideal. And we were inches from that happening. So good job to you and your staff down there that operate that thing. It worked exactly as designed during that event. And it was pretty eye-opening to see, you know, you think you just open it up and let the water go out if you need to, but it's not always the case, so.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's designed for. Flood control is something that in this particular storm, Galesville was a crucial component to that. Being able to hold water back at the right time and let water out. We were there for a day or two calculating that it was gonna spill over, and at that point it is uncontrollable.
Mhm.
But we did I guess for lack of better terms, get a little lucky on the weather, and we didn't get that second
Yeah.
weather event that would have pushed us over. But we were targeting something that maybe would have.
And you guys literally controlled the flow of Cow Creek through Glendale for a period of days after the storm in order to rebuild some capacity and to manage what was going on downstream of there. And it was a vital tool, and it was good to see it work like it was designed.
Rather than say you got lucky, I like to say you calculated perfectly.
Yeah.
Well, and but for that dam, the cities of Glendale and, you know, Riddle would have had a completely different, we would have had them on our list of cities that had needed to recover and to create disaster.
Yeah, there was a period of hours there where the dam held back water and it raised feet within hours. So huge capacity, and I don't remember
We're up 12 feet in one day.
yeah,
Vertical
12
feet.
12 feet like in 24 hours, so it's pretty amazing, and a lot of that was in a shorter period of time too. They were getting almost hourly reports how quickly it was going up. But having that capacity there keeps all that water from rushing down the river and can be let out slower over time, so you guys did a great job with it. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Commissioner Boyce?
Aye.
Commissioner Kress?
Aye.
Chair votes aye and the motion passes. Thank you. Agenda item number 9 is a Salmon Harbor item, and I believe Commissioner Boyce will be handling this.
This is a contract modification, just with the vendor that we're using to do the website work over at Salmon Harbor for the RV resort. Extends the length of the contract and adds $10,000 to the cap. I move to approve the contract modification.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Honestly, that's probably one of our most used facilities as far as camping nights and revenue generating. Great. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call question. Commissioner Boyce?
Aye.
Commissioner Kress?
Aye.
Chair votes aye and the motion passes. Agenda item number 10 is a solid waste department item, and I'll invite up our solid waste director. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Nick Freisinger, Solid Waste. Item number 10 is a reciprocal easement agreement between Douglas County and Lone Rock Timberland LLC for access as necessary where property boundaries are shared. This is roughly 15 sites or so.
Move to approve the agreement.
I'll second.
We have a motion, a second. Questions or comments?
Just that we should put out there that this isn't, there's only probably 3 or 4 out of this 15 that's actually solid waste and the rest are public works, so. Just, it's a combined deal, but it's Douglas County and Lone Rock anyway.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Commissioner Boyce?
Aye.
Commissioner Kress?
Aye.
Chair votes aye and the motion passes. Thank you. Understand we had a late paperwork agenda item, Commissioner Boyce?
Yeah, that's a contract modification for a lease agreement that we have in one of our facilities at the coast. It turns out that the facility was doubly insured, so we're modifying the lease contract to eliminate the need for one of the redundant insurance policies. I'll move to approve the contract modification.
I'll second that.
A motion, a second. Questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Commissioner Boyce?
Aye.
Commissioner Kress?
Aye.
Chair votes aye and the motion passes. Agenda item number 11 is commissioner comments. Commissioner Boyce?
Just real quick, we have summer coming and camping season and a few exciting changes around the county within the park system. Mark mentioned we've got rehabilitation at Stanton Park that's happening. We're hoping it'll be done before the 4th of July weekend. It's really gonna be fantastic down there. We've added more cabins at Salmon Harbor, 8 new cabins, and for the first time ever, we offer sort of a full service cabin opportunity there. So you can rent the cabin, you don't have to bring your own bedding and stuff. There's sort of like motel service. So you go in, the beds are made, the linens are all there, towels, all that stuff. A little easier for folks to go over and stay. And we're excited about that opportunity. And then also an addition to Umpqua Dunes Campground, which is currently underway. Another 20-some spaces back there. Yeah, 27 spaces. It's gonna be nice. And then when that's all finished, sort of the icing on the cake is there's a landscaping project that'll be forthcoming to get all the landscaping throughout the park all dialed in and looking like it should. And go out and enjoy our park system.
Thank you. Of course, during all this flooding stuff, I had a chance to go up to Galesville Reservoir and look at our parks up there, and that park up there is beautiful, and that campground at Chief Miley is very, very nice and well maintained. Commissioner Kress, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Any comments?
Yeah, just real brief, we'll give an update on, last meeting we had had a request for proposals for the radio system. Give it a little update on that, preliminary. We've looked at those over, they came in really close to what we engineered that they would. As we have we received a grant in order to upgrade that radio system. And it's a pretty complicated grant process, and the proposals we did was to start that off in basically 3 phases. One was to upgrade the microwave systems on our existing towers, and that's the physical actual dishes. That has to be done in order for any of the new technology. That was part of that proposal. It came in right where we expected it to. Second part was a VHF upgrade, which is what we're currently on, is to upgrade that entire system to state-of-the-art, modern, reliable stuff with spare parts available. That also came in really close. And then that same day, we got the third phase of that upgrade. We got notice from our Motorola on our UHF system that also came in very well. So the entire operation looks like it's going to be right with the funds available from our grant. So I'm very excited about that, and we're kicking it off right away.
Tom, thank you for the work you and Nancy and the rest of the team are doing on that. I tell people all the time about our radio system, and the comment is, well, why don't you just do what some other counties done? And I tell them how uniquely positioned Douglas County is, and there's certainly other counties that have challenges and issues. Over on the east side, you have these counties that are larger than us, but I don't think there's any county that's our size with the topography we have. I guess the closest may be Lane County, although they have this huge area in the middle of Lane County that's relatively flat. And we don't have near as much of the flat area. And as you know, and others that work on radio stuff, flat's easy, mountains is really hard. And with all the canyons and the 100 valleys of the Umpqua, making the radio system work well is difficult. And of course, upgrading technology is never easy. We see what's happening at the federal level with the FAA and their traffic control radios and all the issues they're having with antiquated technology, not dissimilar to what we're dealing with some of the stuff that we inherited. So thank you for doing that work. It's complicated, and I'm confident that you're going about it in a way that'll be successful. Any other comments? Nothing for me today, and I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for being here.